shoppers are experiencing sticker shock or even finding empty shelves when they go to the grocery store to pick up eggs. NBC News is reporting a dozen eggs now cost $5 on average, and unfortunately, prices are only expected to go up throughout the year.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture predicts those prices could keep climbing, in fact, by more than 20% this year. Experts, of course, as you've heard, are blaming a bird flu outbreak for scrambling the egg market and taking out more than 145 million chickens in the last 3 years. This morning, though, we want to dig into how this is impacting your favorite restaurants here in Austin and across the state of Texas. So we are joined by Anthony Abruscato with the Texas Restaurant Association. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
You know, I think everyone's been hearing the headlines about bird flu prices. People have seen it at the grocery store. We just shared a story earlier this week about Waffle House drawing some attention, slapping that surcharge on every egg that someone orders. So what are you hearing from some of our local and Texas restaurants? Are they having to increase prices as well? You
know, absolutely. They're trying to do what they can not to increase those prices, but with producer prices on eggs being up 134%, they talked about another 20%. So they're going to have to do something. So you'll see a lot of shifting of menu items. You'll see shifting of reducing the amount of items on their menu that may have eggs, or in some cases doing these surcharges or trying to find substitutions. So doing an egg substitute in those places, because it's hard to continue to pull in all of those raising costs. Restaurant margins are 3 to 6% sometimes at best, maybe a little bit more on some of the well-run restaurants. So having those types of price increases and then going all the way across the board makes it very, very difficult not to pass on some of those increases to the consumer.
As you mentioned, there, so many recipes call for eggs to be in them. What are you hearing from members of the Restaurant Association talking about how they are impacted by this, wanting to move forward, all those concerns?
You know, and again, they are very concerned about that. The supply is there. I don't know, go to a local grocery store yourself, you might not see a lot of eggs on the shelf.
Right.
So they're trying to do that. And again, that shifting of items. And so how can we reduce the amount? Sugar, confectionery items are up 11-12% on top of the cost of the eggs. So now you're making a cake with eggs and sugar. And dairy up almost 4 to 6%. In some of those cases, it becomes a very expensive chocolate cake. So they're paying close attention to it. They're also looking at supplies. They're also looking at how they can be a better operator. It's what we do at the Texas Restaurant Association. We help our restaurants become better operators so they can watch costs as well as wastes.
Talk to us, have we seen any impacts yet of, consumers, customers opting out of certain items, maybe that dessert, leaving that off because of higher prices? Or what has kind of the impact been then to their business if they see folks saying, oh, maybe I may have to skip out this time?
Well, you see a couple of different things happening. One is that the dinner check or lunch check may be less. The other is that where someone may have gone out 3 times a week, they're now choosing to maybe go out 2 times a week, or they're mixing from fast food into fast casual and coming into a different area. So consumers are definitely affecting what they're doing into their own schedules, which again then impacts the restaurants. And so we encourage people to try to stay up on their schedules, go into these different restaurants, support. Most of these restaurants are locally owned businesses. They're family owned, they're 1 and 2 units. Not everything is a chain restaurant. We want to support those chains, but we really want to support those local Texans that own these restaurants.
Yeah, for sure. Well, besides eggs, you mentioned there some of the other components that go into these recipes that they're serving in their restaurants. What are some of the other ways that this is affecting restaurants and the food that they prepare?
You know, you're seeing that, again, they're looking at their menus across the board. So now they're shrinking those menus to try to accommodate that. Because again, beef is up, poultry is up, confectionery is up, eggs are up, and so you'll see that shift in those menu items. And I think that's really important as we go through, as people say, hey, what happened to that old favorite? I used to go to this restaurant for that, and they're seeing that impact because of those items. And so they'll try to adjust.
We were chatting before a bit about the impact of the California wildfires as well. Talk about how that is impacting our food here locally. You know,
a lot of fruits and vegetables coming out of California. So one, they're covered in ash. A lot of that, so there's there. Also, I was reading earlier today that the ash and the ash clouds can actually affect the ripening time of those fruits and vegetables, so it's impacting that. So you'll see those different things come across, and then again, it start to affect, 1, the availability, and then 2, the price once they come through.
Well, Tony, we appreciate you taking so much time for us today to talk about these impacts, and perhaps we'll have to revisit this conversation another time based on what we see moving forward. But thank you so much for being here again.
Oh, thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
We appreciate you too. And we'll be right back after this.